the BRICS Plus nations' biggest flaw. Today we discuss.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
If you have been following this platform from a while, you know that I discuss a lot the situation with the BRICS Plus. And actually, I'm a big supporter of the BRICS Plus. I'm Venezuelan, of course, and most likely Venezuela will be ending as a BRICS Plus member. And since I like a lot the BRICS Plus, that doesn't mean that I don't like the Western, let's say, organizations like the G7 or the European Union or NAFTA or NATO and that kind of thing. I like organization because regardless if it's Western or Eastern, because that creates more efficiency, but also you have to comply with certain bureaucracy. What is going on right now with the Western organizations, like the European Union, the G7, and that kind of thing, is that bureaucracy is involved on such organizations. And many times, and this is what is going on with the Western organizations, is that are getting more on the politics and bureaucracy rather than economics and results. And this is something that I don't like, and it's most likely, if you're watching this from the West, probably is the main reason why you don't like something like the European Union or the G7 and that kind of thing. Okay. I want the best both for BRICS Plus and I want the best also for G7. This is something that I want to be crystal clear. Very good on that. And I wish the best for the G7. And actually, I believe that thanks to the BRICS Plus, that will push the Western organizations like the G7 and the EU in order to be more efficient, or they will be perish. I mean, the organization, not the people overall. Okay. No, I don't want to get too controversial today. Now, the issue with the BRICS Plus, compared to, for instance, the European Union, they have a very big flaw that I hope that they were able to fix on the near future. And the biggest flaw is the culture amongst the, of course, the members on these particular organizations. I'm not talking about the big guys, like Putin or Lula da Silva or, all of the BRICS representatives. I'm not talking about it. What I mean is about the populations on such particular economic and political groups. For instance, let's compare it with the European Union, where I know a bunch of issues going on in Brussels and Frankfurt and that kind of thing. Now, we're not going to discuss today, but let's talk about probably my favorite thing about the European Union as an organization is first the economic trade that I believe until a certain degree the BRICS are going to reach until a certain degree. But I'm talking about the social things. Someone from Germany or from Spain, they can go to another place in the European Union very quickly, travel a lot, get to mingle, get intertwined with other cultures, travel without restrictions, without visa, basically as the same territory. And if they want to move, they want to start a business on those other countries within the European Union, that can, of course, that's a positive thing. And also, that creates a lot of integration. I'm talking social, I'm talking the average people within the European Union have a lot of integration, they speak more languages. For instance, you have the Erasmus scholarships. Basically, you can study in other places within the European Union, also get a good job in another place in the European Union, but also start a business, also retire, and so on and so on and so on. And also, you just have this particular mobility that creates a lot of union, quote unquote, pardon my being repetitive, and also, of course, innovation and the synergy overall that you see amongst people within the European Union. And this is something that I'm not seeing right now, and no one from the BRICS Plus is discussing that particular regard, and maybe they don't even want that on the first place. For instance, I don't see people from India traveling freely in order to move to China, or Chinese people moving to India and integrate freely, just, studying and finding themselves in India, something, and the other way around. Something that I'm not seeing, and this is beyond just India and China. Also, you have the Middle Eastern new members like the Iran and Saudi Arabia, and also the Emirates. I don't see that people from Brazil going to these places with cheap flights and without requiring a tourist visa. Something I'm not seeing that particular integration, and this is something that is concerning because that's the real value, the real sauce of having a multilateral organization like the BRICS Plus. And of course, first let's discuss who is in charge of the BRICS Plus. One of the knocks on the organization is, let's say, lack of human rights, like democracy, on those particular nations. And I'm going to discuss if it's good or bad, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, remember, this channel is not about what we want, it's about what it is. And of course, you have Russia, that is Russia, you have India, that is India, and you have right now the Middle Eastern partners, that they are what they are. And you have Brazil, and now, of course, you have India, that is the largest democracy in the world. And by the way, this is not a pledge for democracy. This is a pledge for pragmatism. And in most cases, on these particular countries of the BRICS Plus, they are not thinking particularly on the average citizen. They are thinking on, of course, interest, high on the payroll, like politicians and the biggest investors on such countries and industrials on such countries. However, this is something actually can implode the relationship between each nation on the BRICS Plus. Because when you have this particular synergy, people traveling, people engaging with one another, with free movement, so this is not just a knock on the draconian, lackluster, terrible migration policies from the West, also from the BRICS right now, is that they don't integrate until a certain degree. These people, let's say at least the top 20-30% regarding financial income on those countries, that they can move freely, that creates demand for culture for another country, and then that creates more tourism, a better consumer behavior, and that creates a lot of these intangible things that also are very important for any given economy. Now, let's say the positive scenario on this particular regard for the BRICS Plus. First, you have a bunch of flights and integration and business tourism, usually from the top heads of these particular nations. I'm talking, of course, the politicians, but also businessmen, suppliers, people like that. They are going to travel. Actually, for instance, a bunch of them travel to Venezuela, people from India, Russia, Iran, Brazil, China, that kind of. Okay. They come, and actually, that handful of people fell in love. For instance, let's use, for the sake of conversation, Venezuela as a new BRICS member, something that most likely will end up happening. And they fell in love with the country. I'm seeing marriages between Russians and Venezuelans, also Chinese and Venezuelans. But we have a big Chinese population here. So that's irrelevant right now. People from India and Venezuela as well. I'm seeing marriages, I'm seeing travel, and that kind of thing. And that creates, of course, this particular intangible integration that creates also tangible goods and services. For instance, there are a bunch of Russian touristic operators here in the country offering services only for Russians. Same thing with Chinese. Let's say Chinese Venezuelan economy is very big. I'm talking on the people, not just on the government. And that particular integration, what I see the best case scenario with current conditions of the BRICS Plus is trickle down social and cultural integration, something that I'm seeing right now. Actually, I'm seeing it right now. This is not just macroeconomics. I'm seeing it on, a bunch of vivid examples right now. For instance, Russian businessmen and even soldiers having empanadas like an average Venezuelan. Something is very funny to see. And this is something that actually it can happen to some like a trickle down effect. Now, for instance, I see cases like India and China. If that's going on in both countries, Chinese people fell in love with Hindu culture, or Hindu people fell in love with Chinese culture. If you are from both India and China, please leave it on the comments below. What's your experience? and so on. And if that particular social and cultural integration doesn't happen and it's just some heads of state of each representative signing just empty deals and that's it, of course, the BRICS Plus is going to collapse. However, if there is a larger social and cultural integration between all of these members of the BRICS Plus, now we have something going on.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.